ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, the founder of Shalo Glow LLC, an all natural skincare company that helps you glow from head to toe. I am a champion for your daily self care, business care, and intentional wellness.
Hey, y'all. I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, published author, and dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Together, we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness.
And we like to get together every week for intentional conversations between us and special guests about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness.
Welcome to episode 118 of Women Connected in Wisdom. This is not Christine, this is Coach Coe. Okay, so she is filling in for Christine. Christine, we love you. She is out of town living her best life. And as you guys know, we're connected to amazing women. So Coe said she would jump on as my guest co-host and one of our social wellness experts and Amazon best-selling authors. Thank you so much for being here, Coe.
Thank you so much, Shannon. First of all, shout out to Christine again for inviting me in to take her wonderful place or borrow her place for a little while because she will be back. I am Coach Coe and I'm super excited to be here. One of the best-selling Amazon authors with Miss Shannon and Christine as well. And amazing, 15 more other authors that we have out there?
Yes.
So also, I am the host of Talk Sessions with Coe podcast as well. You guys can find me on Instagram at lifecoachco.com.
Love it. Yes. So if you guys have been listening to the show, the community actually just closed, right? We have one level that has Connected in Wellness. That's where we talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness. We have the other one, and Coach Coe and I have been on these calls, Connected in Business. That's where we're talking about our Amazon bestseller campaigns. We're about to do the audio book. Next month, we'll have one on, or maybe it's this month, since it's the beginning of June, we have one on speaker one sheets. I know I need to build mine. And so we do those things together. Right?
Yes.
And then the third one is Connected in Action. And Coe, I love you for this too. The debriefs, right? How do we talk about the things that we're working on, our wins and challenges, and help each other actually do the actions together and not just talk about it?
Yes, the debriefs, the highs and the lows of how we just debrief on everything when we have events, when we have business ventures, when we have personal goals. Mm-hmm. So it really is a community of women connected, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I need it. So today we're talking about environmental wellness, and the conversation this past weekend when we had our book signing at Spark on Auburn Avenue with all the ladies, it reminded me how important this group of healthy relationships is when we go into our other environments. Right. In the other environments, we deal with these situations and we bring them back to our group. Like, let me tell you what happened. And they will affirm you. Right. But not in an unhealthy way, in a way like, no, you tried to have that conversation the right way. This is how I see what happened. Right. And they'll also remind you of your goals. Okay, well, this is temporary. What does it look like for you to get to the next step? Or, okay, you said that you were going to do this semester. What does it look like for you to do that in the environment that you're in? Or do you need to change environments? You know, that really helped me last year as I was working these different jobs and getting ready to step into my companies.
Absolutely. I 100% understand that.
What about for you? How have you been doing in your environmental wellness this week?
One of the things that I've learned with environmental wellness is to be present in the areas that I'm in. If I'm not present, then things are going wrong. Like as a teacher by day, trying to work on stuff for my business with the class that I had was not it. It just wasn't. It wasn't going to happen because, of course, whenever you're working on business ventures, you're not throwing anything out there. You need to be focused. It needs to have your full attention, and but this is also my job. So that this also deserves to have my full attention as well. So trying to intertwine those things at the wrong times, I just talk about being present in the areas that I'm at. When it's school time, it's school time. Yes. Family time is family time. Work time is work time. Coach Coe time is Coach Coe time.
Yes. I love that. And it reminds me of the habit stacking we've been talking about since our episode with Heart Math, right? And sometimes it makes sense to pair things together. And sometimes you specifically have to not do things together. And I definitely hear you on the separation of time and everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to.
Yeah. And when I set up my environments, I even do it different. When I'm doing the podcast, it's set up a certain way. If I'm working, it's set up a certain way. Or if I'm journaling and taking my own time, it's set up a different way. So psychologically, I can separate the task and the focus that I need to have.
I like that. That's good.
Oh,
Mhm.
look, Coe. Danny O. Hi, Danny. Danny O said, "Hey, Coe."
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, thank you for watching, Danny. So let's jump into it. Again, today and this week, we're focused on environmental wellness. And the definition that
Absolutely.
we operate from in Women Connected in Wisdom is environmental wellness is supporting your good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that enhance well being. It promotes interaction with nature and also creating enjoyable personal environments, both in and out of your workplace. This includes knowing the type of environments you thrive in and having an intentional relationship with these places, including the earth. hmm So when you hear that, Coe, what stands out to you this week?
So when I think about, you said connecting with the earth and being
hmm
with the earth, when I think of nature, I think of God. I think of that spirituality piece of it, to be able to connect, because like the creation, I think
Yes.
about the creator and the creation of all things. And you know, sometimes you just keep going, like you're just like you don't look. And I started to make myself look when I leave out the house in the morning. I started to make myself look at the moon,
hmm
because I'm like, that is a creation. That
Yes.
is something that's holding gravity. That's something that's here, that's a part of our life that we just whoosh, pass. And so I started to make myself connect with nature by paying attention.
I love that. And for
Mhm.
me, I have to do it before I go out to just work, right? Because it's just like me calling you. I don't want to just us to only talk when it's something to do. I want to make time for us to talk and then time for us to work. So if I'm doing it when I go out to the car, I absolutely look at the moon. I'm always looking at the trees and the birds. And like you said, remembering when I think about it, it's beautiful creation, but the root of it is the creator made it. And when I look at it, it reminds me that I'm taken care of, just like the trees and the birds,
Yeah.
right? But if I'm rushing to my car, I got to go to the bank, I got to go to UPS. I don't
Hmm.
take as long as I would like. So I
Yep.
try to get out there before I go to my car, before I'm going to do the task for the day.
I like that, because I'm
hmm
dropping water. I'm dropping stuff. I'm dropping
hmm
things left and right, tripping over my foot. The day's starting off wrong already.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to center it. What you said about being present reminds me of one of the speakers at TEDx Atlanta that I went to recently. And she told us that 47% of the time people are not present. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, just being there in the moment where you are, and the way you described it, that's exactly how my planner helps me. Right at the beginning of the week is Women Connected in Wisdom Press. And then the end of the week is Shaylo Glow and events and markets. And me making sure that I have it organized that way helps my mental environment, right? Helps me not feel overwhelmed and cluttered. But it also makes it so that I know how to set myself up for success in each task that I'm doing.
I love that. I love
Yes.
it.
Thank you so much. Let's see what Danny says. Danny says, I think social and environmental wellness to me are so connected. My home is like a sanctuary for me. But if I have people in my environment that rob me of peace, it may not feel safe. That's true, Danny. That's true. Hold on. We got a second part. Let's see. Let's see. I do need to get out into nature more, though. That was a great point. Connecting to God through nature. Absolutely.
My
Yeah.
mom always tells me that that is something that she always did. She would put us outside. And then when I'm thinking about the be well, be wise, be whole, she
Yes.
used to drop that wisdom. And she would tell me, you need to be outside early, watch the sunrise, connect with God, see the creation of life, connect with the birds. And I'm just
hmm
like, I don't pay attention to what she got going on, what she talking about. But I'm like, no, she's right. That connection and being in nature, it
Yes.
transforms you and renews you in a way that being inside all the time can't do for you.
Mm-mm. It's true. It's true. And I've realized, especially over COVID, that I really needed to get outside. I had taken for granted, I think, or let's say gotten used to how much time I spent outside as a young lady whose dad has a lawn business, right? Then I was in band. Then I was doing all this stuff outside as an RA at Kennesaw State, duty and events and whatever we were doing throughout the years I was there. Sometimes it would be inside, sometimes it would be outside. But then when COVID happened and we weren't going as many places, some days I would be like checking my attitude, what's going on? Why you kind of, I'm always going to notice and not judge. Oh, I haven't been outside. Oh, I haven't worked out. I haven't gotten all that energy out, so
Mm.
really important.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
Shannon, you said something so good. You said grace and not judge.
Hmm.
Grace and not judge. Can you just environmentally well that into the segment? Because I love
Yeah.
it. Grace and not judging yourself and understanding. Let's connect and say, hey, what do I have going on? Why am I feeling a little off? What's
Right.
going on?
Right.
Because you have
Yeah.
to be environmentally well in your body, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
And just like Danny said, it's about I love that you are one of our social wellness experts and on here talking about environmental wellness, because that's how I've been thinking about environmental wellness. What is the
Mhm.
social climate like in the environment that I'm in? Whether it's how I talk to myself, we think about Cynthia Phelps and the inner ally, or how I talk to my teams, especially having business partners, building teams for the businesses, right? Working with the SCAD students, working with you ladies across state lines, across international lines. We're global, you know what I mean? So what does that communication look like? So if there is an issue or an opportunity to grow, it's, hey, Coe, this is what we could have done better when you came to the retail space for the podcast. Okay. And that's not confrontational. It doesn't have to be condescending or anything like that. We're going to debrief and bring it neutrally and say, these are the highs, like you said, these are the lows. This is what we're going to do better next time. And having the conversation like that, I feel like always helps.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that you're able to debrief and have those moments where you're checking in to yourself and checking in with others. What are the highs and lows of the day? What do you feel like we could do better to grow? But what do we feel like we accomplished? And when
Mm-hmm.
we think about social wellness in that aspect, and like Danny said, with my home space, I
Yes.
remember working with another environmental wellness expert, Miss Melody LeBaron, and
Yes.
she talks about how your home space has to be in a certain way in order for you to be able to connect and want to be there. And so,
Yes.
Danny, I'm so glad that you have a space that you've created that safeness in, because
Mm-hmm.
at one time, my home space reminded me of a dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Dark, just not wanting to be there, full of clutter, things going on. And it was just a representation of my mind, what was going
Mm-hmm.
on in my mind, and what was going on, the disarray that was going on in my life and in my mind. So
Right.
then once I was able to start moving towards clearing that stuff up, taking just small steps, pick this up, get
Mm-hmm.
this, my anxiety started to release. It
Mm-hmm.
started to I started to be able to see my way through. And
Right.
eventually, my space that felt like a dungeon started to feel like a safe haven.
Mm-hmm. And when Danny said it, I thought about the other people that you might invite in, right? So there's people that are invited to the events, but everybody that's invited to an event is not invited to my home, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it tied into our conversation that you and I and some of the ladies had about friendship. If you're in an environment that's getting to the point where I don't feel safe, how do you have that conversation? What are the things that you need? Do you know what that looks like? And then are
Mm-hmm.
you able to communicate it? And for me last year, that was huge because I'm looking at, okay, how do I infuse wellness into my environment? That's what we're talking about this week, right? So if I'm saying, hey, I need communication from the team in order to infuse the wellness into the communication line of what we're doing for these projects, and that's not happening, I need a safe space to be able to say that, and then for there to be a solution that's brought. But if that's not happening, now I'm feeling less safe. And there were situations where I was feeling not safe socially or physically. I'm talking about guests, and these are different places, right? Guests threatening cops with guns and cooks attacking kitchen managers. And I'm like, I got to be able to talk about this stuff so that I'm in a pleasant environment, so that it supports my growth and we can talk about the things neutrally and then come up with solutions together how we should as a team.
I absolutely understand that
Yeah.
from a different point of view when it comes down to that workspace,
Mm-hmm.
because I was going through that of feeling unsafe as well at work, in a sense of not like safety of my life, but
Right.
my emotional wellness wasn't safe
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't feel like I can open myself up
Yeah.
in that way. And then my students started to tell me that they didn't feel safe in certain areas, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, we can't have that.
Right.
We're we can't have the of not feeling safe, and that came down to people in the bullying aspect,
Yeah.
in the mean girl aspect, and all of those different things. These kids are saying, I don't feel safe. That's all you have to do is tell. All you have to do is tell Teacher Coe, hey, I don't feel safe. Then the mama bear is going to come out and we're going to fix this, because that's not something that I'm willing to take lightly, because I understand, and growing up in an environment where I didn't feel safe was one of the reasons why I'm learning to use the different word. We don't say my anxiety. We say anxiety. So we don't want to claim that.
Right.
But that's where the anxiety that I suffer with sometimes, or deal with sometimes, where it comes from, being in a constant state of an environment, or growing up in an environment where you felt unsafe. So they will call that PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. And so those are the things that trigger me to be like, we need to make sure that I need to make sure that every environment that I'm in is a safety net, that is safe, and that people feel safe in it.
So let's talk about that as a teacher, right? Because again, I've been thinking about the teachers, you ladies and gentlemen, right, had a lot on the plate already. And when I think about environmentally, there's more to consider than I was considering when I was in school. So when your students say, hey, I don't feel safe, or when you're being intentional about setting up that safety for them, how do you do that in a classroom setting with where everything has been this year?
Okay, as a person that loves to say, I like to bring taboo topics to the Black community on the open table for discussion. Yes. I do the same thing at school. We are going to call it out. We are a class so that we are a community. So we need to have an open discussion where we feel safe. And usually I ask them for permission first to be able to address that, because I want them to feel comfortable being able to pull me aside and have that conversation and say, Ms. Dorsey, this and that is going on. Yeah. But then I bring it to the whole class. We need to have a discussion. We need to talk like a family.
So no, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
And so, having that, like, I'm like, bring it on. We're gonna have a discussion. And I talk to them again, like Mama Bear, and I'm like, we're not doing this. We are not doing this. Or I start with, why are we doing this? What do you need? What do you feel like you need at school to make another person feel like they shouldn't be here, don't want to be here? What do we have going on? And I remember we just kind of, the emotions started to explode. One student was crying and saying that this, like, I'm tired of it. I'm fed up. And I was happy the emotions came out. I told him that he was brave for putting those emotions out. That way that I can address it and call it out, and that we can create an environment that's a small family union. No, you're not going to get along with all of your family, right? But we're going to learn how to respect each other and learn how to respect this space. So one of the things that we're going to stop doing is having this classroom look any kind of way, because this is an extension of your home. We are going to come in, we're going to say good morning, and we are going to respect one another. Right. Literally all I ask.
Yes. Danny says, yes, so good. Yes. And so I want to break it down and make sure that I hear what you're saying. When you say that you ask for permission, you're saying that first you talk to the individual student, and then after you talk to this individual student, you bring it to the class so that we as a group can get on the same page, make sure that we're stepping together and understand what we're going to do so that there's a solution offered and that this doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. I had said, then when that wasn't working, then I turned into a SEL lesson, social emotional lesson. So I'm like, we're going to talk about bullying, what bullying looks like on cyberbullying, because that has taken over. This text messaging and group chat stuff has become another type of environmental place that hasn't been well. It's given students, and I mean, I'm not going to even lie, adults, another avenue to be mean, to be exclusive. And so there's not much that I can do about that without parents getting on board. But once it comes to school and it becomes a big thing, then I have to deal with it. So I did a lesson, cyberbullying, bullying, because also we have to be careful with using that word, overusing that word bullying as well, because some students don't know what that is. They might call that bullying when it's just someone said a rude comment. Not saying that it's okay,
Mhm.
but sometimes you can walk away from things without it becoming a whole traumatic experience. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
teaching them conflict resolution was the next part of that. And then teaching them what friendship looks like is another part of that.
I love that. And it's true because, again, with the title, Infuse Your Environment with Wellness, right? I think sometimes we beat ourselves up because we're not well. Well, I'm not okay. There must be something wrong with me that I can't take it. We talked about that when we talked about friendship, right? I feel like my capacity should be bigger, or that these problems shouldn't be happening, when in reality, that's just living. It's just like cellulite. It's just like these things that happen naturally. But the question is, do we know how to resolve it when it comes about? Like you said, the conflict resolution. What I've found, whether it's on teams or with customers, with clients, with guests, that when you handle that the right way, that's a great opportunity. Feedback is a gift. So it's actually a great opportunity to get to the next level of understanding, the next level of operating together, and even the level of closeness that you have. Because through that, maybe something's dismantled. Oh, Coach Coe thought that Shannon had an attitude because XYZ, but maybe I didn't know that you felt that way. We were able to talk about it. And now you don't think that we're clear and can step into the next level of how we're supposed to work together on the same page.
Shannon, you said some really good stuff. That conflict resolution piece of it has been infiltrating my life. It's infused in my environment. But honestly, it hasn't been stellar. And what I'm saying is that sometimes we as people are not used to conflict resolution.
That's
sometimes
true.
we come into a situation wanting to approach it with anger. And if a person doesn't match that anger, we're still up there. So we're like, I want to be offended. I want my feelings to be validated in a way that I'm not getting right now because this person is too freaking well for me. And I've been running into that. And because I think some of my older relationships, we didn't have conflict resolution in a way that we was probably the healthiest manner.
I hear you.
So now that maybe avenues are growing or learning different ways to do that, that is taking a longer time to be able to process throughout the friendship. And it's also causing some strain. So in those situations, when you outgrow your environmental, what's the next steps for you? Do you try to bring them with you on that wellness journey, or do you leave them where they at?
So I think it's a great question, and genuinely, when we talk about purpose and me being excited about everything I'm doing, it's because I believe that when I pass away, my goal is to bring as many people to heaven with me, right? So to leave somebody behind is not my goal, but I also do not make people come with me. I'm not going to stuff you into the backpack if you're not, because I trust God's timing and his will, right? So if you're not coming, maybe there's something stopping you. Maybe you can't come through these doors with me. And that's when I pray about it and I ask for discernment. We always want to work with people who are aligned with us. And that's something that I'm working on, praying more over my business and being intentional about, but I don't force it. It's just like an ex or a relationship. Like, I want it to be as healthy as possible. This is what I need. And I think that's really the anchor is what first, before you say, should you come with me? The question is, where am I going? Come with you where? I'm going to Generational Wellness and Billionaire. Not everybody can go there, but because I know that's where I'm going, that's going to dictate what my boundaries are, what I need, and what my time needs to look like, and then what I have available for you. And now you can choose, how is that for you? Coach Coe, are you okay for waiting for coffee for months? You might have to wait a few weeks. You know what I mean? And if that's not something that you're okay with, then I can't move my 3 businesses because you want coffee right now. I'm live on a podcast. You're just going to have to be upset,
Yeah, I like that. And that the confidence in that, in you saying that is really good, because I think that we get afraid of leaving people behind, or we're afraid to go to next steps, because I don't want to, we're all on a journey. So when we say leaving people behind, it's not about saying that you're going to a better place than they are. I mean, it might happen that way, but that's not the point. The point is that you're going in different directions, different levels. And it's like, when do you let go? When do you let go and just say, this is the next environment that I have to be a part of so that I can grow? And you know, when it's not the guru type of conversation where we're like, you know, I need to be in a room with 6 billionaires so that I can understand. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating that. What I am advocating is saying that we have to get very personal with our relationship and our spirituality so that we can understand, hey, discern, hey, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm being led to go. And this person can't come because this is not their time or this is not their journey to go with me.
And it's the transition, like Danny was saying, right? Like if I'm healthy and I love my environment, and then it starts kind of every time this person, let's say I'm a kitchen manager, right? Every time this person comes in the kitchen, it's like, what's going on? What are you talking about? So if that's how life is, it's like, ooh, I was good until this happened. And you start feeling that disconnect. You start feeling confusion and frustration. Those things are not of God. And so I feel like that's your spirit telling you, hey, this is not aligning with where you are right now, you know. And I had to realize that I am the type of person, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I love to find solutions. I love to say yes. I want win-win-win situations. You know what I mean? That's how I like to build it. But I had to realize that not everything is lifetime stuff. Some people are in your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. So that lady you met at the cash register, maybe you don't need her number. Maybe y'all just supposed to talk one time. You know what I mean? It was that conversation and that's it. Or maybe this person that was friends for you, like I've had friends who we were close in high school. We were close because of the way that I was helping them. You know, I would have wanted to hold on to them in college, but that would have strained me somewhere that's not pouring into me. And now here we go with the overpouring and overextension that's not necessary, especially if you're looking at what this person does. You know, so something that helped me do that was, one, stop giving positions to people who didn't apply.
Ooh.
Why is he your boyfriend if he didn't ask to be your boyfriend? He didn't ask you for that, but you gave it to him. Why? You know what I mean? So not giving positions to people that they don't apply for, right? And then even if you do get the opportunity to interview, you might not get the position, right?
Ooh.
So just because you want to be my boyfriend doesn't mean. Then he said, hello, let's do it. Hello. Okay. Because you might not. And that's me having standards. And that's what I had to work on. I said, oh, I'm being so nice. I don't have standards. That's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be so considerate of other people that you're not considering and keeping your own boundaries and your own standards. And so I had to be okay with letting some people go who I cared about. But if you're not checking on me or doing the things that I need from this relationship, then we're going to have to break it down. And the way I think about it is like, let's say romantic relationships, right? I can set up the business to run off of one person or two. So if it was running off two, but we need to go down to one person operations, that's fine. You know what I mean? We'll just go back down. And that's how I do it there. And then, you know, if you get the position, hopefully you're a rising star. The team loves you. Everything is great. You're doing great in your role and you get promoted. Right. But there's check-ins and now it has to be the opportunity for us to continue to grow together and have those conversations like, Coe, I love you. I don't want you to take it personal. If we don't have coffee this week, this is what I need. And then see what that person does. And if they meet you and we can work together and whatever the dynamic is in that relationship, now you have somebody who can stay for a season, you know, and you just go through the situations and it'll fall into place.
I love that. That was solid. You did good with that.
We've been having these conversations for a while, you know, because the foolishness is rampant.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's really true. You know, Melinda says she felt that.
Yes.
You know, it's just really true to try to connect with understanding that, hey, your environmental wellness and your social wellness go hand in hand. All of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And if you want to kind of spill that out again right quick, the little definitions and talk about that. But all of the 8 dimensions of wellness connect to being a whole person.
Yes.
It is on the screen talking about emotional, mental wellness, environmental wellness, financial, intellectual, physical, occupational, spiritual, social. All of those connect. And we're here talking about infuse your environment with wellness. And so infusing your environment will require you to make some changes to yourself and your environment. And for me, that's kind of the season that I'm in right now, and it's not an easy season for me. I speak on social wellness, and I'm an extrovert, so I'm like, everybody, come, let's have fun together. Let's be peaceful and have fun.
Yeah.
And it's like being a person that has to spew out so much with the young people that I work with.
Yes.
I am not the same Courtney that I was back then. And
hey, y'all, this is a great place to take a break, take a deep breath, and hear from our awesome sponsors that make Women Connected in Wisdom podcast possible. Shannon, we are so grateful that Shayla Glow is the sponsor of the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. And I wanted to take this moment to ask you, when you think about the people who use Shayla Glow, who are we talking about?
That's a good question. I think about 3 groups, really. One, the group that's removing hair, right? So whether you're using laser hair removal, waxing, shaving, you got to make sure that you're putting back what you're taking out. The second group, I think about those with dry skin and the problems that might cause, right? The scars, itching, burning, whatever the situation is, you definitely need all 3 steps, right? The exfoliation, making sure you're taking the dead skin cells off. The oil, putting in the moisture, and then the shea butter with the aloe, sealing it, helping you heal. Those things help both groups, right? And third, for the third group is those with chronic illness. You know, the story is personally from cancer and different diseases that our population is dealing with on a daily basis throughout families as individuals. So I'm thinking about my mom and my grandmother and those around me with the same generational ties, right? And what positive, healthy habits we can start to make sure that we're maintaining our wellness, especially because the skin is like the cape, the exterior, the shield for your immune system. So with COVID, we have to be intentional about covering ourselves. And those are the groups I think about.
I love it. And you know what else I love about your product? It's all natural, handmade, and it smells great, y'all. So yay.
Tested. Yes, esthetician tested and approved. Yes. What about you? When you think about your company, what groups of people do you think about?
Well, you know, I work with individual coaching clients. I work in community classes and with corporate teams. And with all of them, I use a strength-based, embodied approach to help folks connect with themselves and access joy, reduce burnout, and build resilience. You know, especially during these times, I think we need it. I think we need all the hashtag partnership power we can get.
Yes.
That has changed my relationships with people drastically. And I didn't know what to do with that because I was like, I have different needs and different requirements. And it's been a while because I'm like, usually people grow, they get in relationships, like you said, they start dating this boyfriend that didn't ask to be their boyfriend type of stuff, you know, all kind of things.
Right.
And Courtney is usually still kind of consistent. But then the ball started rolling. Teacher, podcast, writer, all of those different things that require me to get some pouring back.
Yes.
And I asked for it. It's not like, believe me, I'm very vocal. I'm like, I need hugs. I need love. I need words.
Yes.
You know, I'm asking for it. And when it wasn't coming back to me, I was like, I feel so alone. And I describe it like that because the school year was hard. When I tell you that environmental, because we as women, I'm on here preaching now. We as women, we have to learn how to treat each other better. We, you know, thinking about the insecurities or thinking about somebody trying to steal your position, or like you said earlier, Shannon, when you were saying read into something that's not there, instead of asking, or any of those types of things that we may get in our feelings or wake up menstruating and, you know, all of those different things. But we got to learn to have grace for ourselves and for others. And when we don't do that, we create toxic work environments. And so my environment was not the easiest to deal with. So I needed a little bit more from my friends without being able to manage the relationships, because I'm usually also the manager. So when the dynamics of the relationships changed, it made it very hard for them to adjust to some newness. And so when I asked for what I need and they didn't receive it, it hurt me.
I understand.
And so it's like, now what am I supposed to do? Like, I was like, I did the conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I did the whole thing. I asked for what I need. I said the strong friend needs something, need a little bit more. Now what?
I got you. Because what I see, and this is what I want to talk about in volume 2, right, is the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you changed. I changed. This is what I need. I need this in this season. And that's fair. And you have the right to say that and the right to need whatever you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I say that just like you changed, now you're meeting somebody new. You might know this person for, let's say, 5 years. But if they're in a relationship, they just had a baby, this is a new person. This is not the person that you met 5 years ago. So what is their capacity like? Right. And I'm really glad that you brought it up, because I did have people in my very inner circle and their capacity was shifted. You know, I have 2 godchildren now. I had 1 before the pandemic. And so with my best friend being pregnant and dealing with different things that she's dealing with, I knew that she's not going to be able to be there how she was with just 1 child, or how she was in elementary school when we used to see each other every day. It's going to shift.
Right.
You know what I mean? And her life shifting is not personal to me. I had to be aware of my groups, my circle's capacity, and know, okay, I'm not even going to call them. I'm not even going to get my feelings hurt, make them feel guilty or anything. You can communicate. That's not a bad thing. But I knew I had to go somewhere else because I knew they didn't have it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you know someone doesn't have it, the capacity.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is a different thing, because both of us are talking about capacities. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the capacity to sit on the phone and be talking all day, because I'm like, I need to make sure I sleep. And next person doesn't have the capacity maybe to just give it, to be the manager. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you're in those situations, it's kind of like, so what are we going to do? Are we going to try to give each other the little bit of something that we have, or are we going to just not?
And for me, and I don't think about it as a manager in a relationship, right? Like there's no real thing as 50-50. Even Michelle Obama talks about that in the relationship as she's been doing her tour, right? And one of my professors said that in college, and it really helped me, because she was like, I was sick for 7 years. My husband was taking care of me. It wasn't 50-50. And that's how it is sometimes. So one, what is your need? Do you feel like you need to talk every day? Or clearly you didn't while you were teaching, right? So I need to talk, what is it, once a week? Is it once every 2 weeks? Is it once a month? And then can that person meet you? For me, it's not about managing it. It's about showing up for each other when we can. And if they're a little distant and you feel like you still need 3 people there, then automatically that means that this person is out. They did not RSVP. It has to be somebody else. And if you end up getting closer to somebody else in the new season, then that's your person that's a little bit closer in the circle. And your other person is that, forget about you, you busy. It's, well, you're not here right now, and that's okay. And I respect and honor you, and I'm holding space for your life, and I still love you for whenever you can come back. And if you never come back, then it was a reason or a season. And now I've continued to build with the lifetime people, you know, or the seasonal people for that season.
So good. Somebody might need to be writing on social wellness too.
Yo, hello. You know what I mean? I've been thinking about all the different things.
Yes.
Yeah. And that it helps to do that. Thank you.
It does. And so that's another part of learning that we are learning about in life, you know, when environmental wellness, when you are infusing your environmental wellness, you are still learning what needs to be here and what needs to not be here. So when we talk about nature, and we're also talking about what that area looks like in our homes, what that area looks like in our work environment. And that's going to be the organization piece that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about Miss LeBaron, Miss Melody.
Yes.
That's going to be the social piece when I'm thinking about Courtney, you know, Life Coach Coe. And you're thinking about the intellectual wellness of it, where you have to drive it all together. How can I make all of this make sense for my life?
Absolutely. And for me, what helps is like things like this. Deanna gave me a card for the book signing. And so I have it by my flowers that my partner gave me for my birthday. And I have this candle that I got from the Audacity fourth birthday party that I went to this past weekend. And I said, you know what? 1, I love the way it smells. And 2, the name of it is Day at the Beach. And I've been thinking about the beach. So I said, I'm going to give myself a little day at the beach while I'm doing the podcast. And then, of course, I have the book up on the wall, and I have my book here. My book is my favorite of our books out of all the books that we sell, because I have all the authors, well, a lot of the authors' signatures. I have notes for me doing the audio book, notes for me reading it. And so even though as I read, I usually take notes and write down the definitions of new words that I don't know. My books are usually
I love
marked up.
it.
This book is pretty marked up. So I have those around me to do the environmental episode today.
The it's great because the teacher in me, the reading specialist in me, wants to be like, "That's so good. You are taking words that you don't know, and
Yeah.
you are decoding."
Yeah. It really takes a second to read.
Yes,
But just setting it up for whatever makes you feel better. We talk about being nerds. So when I read, y'all, I read with a highlighter and a pen. And I'm going to underline the things that really stand out. If it's more than one line, I'm going to do like a little vertical line on the side of the paragraph, right? This right here. And then I do like to highlight new words and write the definition. I've been trying to finish Uncle Tom's Cabin, and this book is
ooh,
it's a lot of new vocabulary words. So yeah, I do the due
ooh,
diligence to get the context.
great
Yes.
one. That's a great one, Harriet
Yes.
Beecher Stowe. That is a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah, it's good.
I got a documentary for you to follow up on with that.
Okay. What's the documentary?
It's called it's something about, it's called Uncle Tom's Cabin, but I think
Okay.
it's Embracing Uncle Tom or something like that. But
Okay.
it's on Tubi, so I'll send it to you.
Got you. Thank
Mhm.
you. So yeah, so you were talking about the physical and then the work environment. For me, it has been that communication, because okay, we'll set up the environment, but what happens when the environment changes? And we're constantly changing, right? We went from elementary school to middle school to high school to college to work and different jobs and entrepreneurship. And so for me, for the past few years, it's been about pivoting into the new environments. That's a different budget. It's a different time budget. It's a different group of people that I talk to regularly. So that means that my top 5 people that's affecting who I am is shifting and changing, and the way that I need to communicate to those people based on their personalities and our strengths and weaknesses is going to change. So what you said about being present for me is huge. Like, hey, what's going on right now? Do we need to have a follow-up conversation to process anything? Do we need to have a follow-up conversation to make sure there's no communication? Or should I just say, hey, good job on that. I see you working on that. And this is what I'm going to do to support you.
Absolutely. Asking those questions and being able to have the answer, because sometimes we don't always know what we need.
Yeah.
So we have a hard time answering that. But being present and learning who you are internally is very, very important in maintaining relationships with people and having a good relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
So, because you would be able to say, what do I need? And one of the things I need, I was like, I had to have a hard conversation with myself. And
Yeah.
when becoming a teacher, that was a different environment for me, a completely different environment. And so just trying to show up 5 minutes before the bell ring, or trying to get this, or trying to run and get coffee, do this and do that, was not, we can't take that environment with us. That's not what this is. You need to be here an hour early. This because I had to do trial and errors to see exactly what it needed to be. And people like, look, I get paid for 8 to 5, and that's it. And I was trying to maintain that, but it wasn't working for me. It wasn't in my best interest to do that. Going early and being able to decompress and be able to prepare my mind for the day and for the kids to come in was vital for a change for me to be able to shift my environment whenever I walk into my room.
I think it's huge. And I think it's really important, right? For example, they talk about if you're on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time. I genuinely believe that. As a server at Papado, right, we had features. So as a manager, I'm having a pre-shift. If we start the shift at a certain time, everybody's getting together to say the plan. I'm telling you about the features, big tops, all this stuff. This is what we're doing tonight, right? If you're coming to pre-shift and you don't have your features yet, you're not ready. If you get set, you have tables, you don't know what the features are. Now you're making stuff up. Now you're not following the program. If you don't feature, you might not make as much money. Or if you feature something that might be difficult for the cook line to execute, now you're stressing out the cook line. Your food might be late. And now you're mad because your food is late and now it's affecting your tip. And here we go. Right. But now as an entrepreneur, or let me back up, as a manager, in order for me to be ready for all the personalities I'm going to meet for my shift and the shift that might be transitioning out or in, whatever day it is, right? I definitely had to center myself in this space. And I would think about Melody during that time. Okay, thank you, space. How am I feeling today? Right. I think about Christine. I think about you ladies. How am I feeling in my body? Right. Is there a spot that feels good and something that hurts? And not just physically, but what about socially in the environment? What feels good right now? Okay, I don't need to worry about that. Is there anything I need to get further ahead on so we don't have a pain point here in the middle of the shift or at the end of the night? And then talk about that as a team. But if I hadn't centered myself and given myself that space, now we're running right on time or right after time. And that makes us reactionary. I like to be proactive. That was my wisdom in action last week, right? So that time, you need an hour for school. That makes sense, especially with the way that it taxes your energy, right? As an entrepreneur and on video, my goal is to now be here 15 minutes before. I need my drink. This is my water. I have my little electrolytes, right? I have my stuff that I need, my pens, everything. So I don't have to get up, and then I'm ready and I can be ready for Coe when she comes on. And that's what I've been working on.
I love it. And you were bright and ready. You were here. You just like that. And that worked out, getting here early and doing things. And it's not about the preaching about being early. It's literally your environmental wellness and what you can create. For me, that had to be something that I put into my time. And it's the same thing. Like, that wasn't the only thing. It was like, God dealt with me like, no, you need to get up earlier to be there an hour early and to spend time with me. Before.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm a night owl, God. I'm not a morning. I'm not a morning person, but I'm not a 5 a.m. type of a morning person. But it was like, if you want your life to change and you want things to start working out and be working out for your environmental wellness and for your good and for everything else to start to manifest and trickle down to what it needs to be, you need to spend time with me first.
Yes.
You ain't be there an hour early. And how you going to do that? Got to get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one of my affirmations is I'm going to do what I need to do to get the life that I believe God has for me. So if that's getting up earlier, because I'm not super early bird either, but I hear you on it. And again, like I've said before on the podcast, I can definitely see a difference in my day when I don't do those things. So this morning, got up and did my devotion and wrote in my journal. I did good this morning. I'm getting back on my non-negotiables, But it's huge, especially when you work on social media and we're talking about emails. I'm checking social media, my emails, my bank account, all things that might set off triggers if you're not centered, right? And so before I listen to the tone of the day and the news or whatever we have going on, it's like tuning myself to what God has for me that day, checking in with myself to see if there's anything I need to give him. Okay, Lord, I need to have this conversation. I'm kind of frustrated about it. I'm going to give the situation to you, and then I can go operate in a professional and centered manner. Yeah.
It's a lot of praying and a lot of giving and surrendering in those moments that people's like, discipline, you have a lot of discipline. I'm like, that is heaven sent. I wouldn't consider myself a disciplined person.
I hear you.
But that being able to take those little small nuggets made my environment better, made things better for me, and it really made everything better for those around me because I showed up better.
Right.
And I showed up better as Life Coach Coe, as Courtney.
Yeah.
And, in those ways that needed to be, I needed to be present, fully present, and trying to stay up all night to watch a basketball game. Because, I love my little sports and stuff. I'm a football person, but I love my little sports. Everybody was like, you're going to have to stay up for the playoffs. The playoffs, good. And I'm like, y'all, I can't. I literally cannot. Like, I'm tired. And if I'm tired in the morning and the behaviors that I experience and I'm not ready, alert, it's not going to be a nice day.
That's not what you want.
It's not,
you don't want to make it like
be
that.
A nice day. And even also being honest with the little people. I have to be honest with them. I told them, I'm like, they because if I invite them in, they're going to keep on coming and getting more and feeding more. And I had to finally tell them, look, recess is Miss Dorsey's time as well. Go play with your friends.
I'm glad they love you so much that they want to talk to you during recess.
I'm like, we're not doing this. Go play with your friends. Sometimes I will bend, but not all the time. I'm like, no,
That's important.
go play with your friends because I'm like, I need my space. I need to, and they get it. That's the thing about it is that having those conversations and creating that family unit, you will be able to say you get it. And then next thing you know, you have somebody else defending you. She need her time, y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's been communicated. Yep. Listen to Tiffany. She knows what she's talking about. Okay.
Yes. I love that. And so it's just better for everybody. It's better for everybody. And even just learning the different people, like one of the students that I had was not a morning person. So we started to journal towards one another. We would be like, I'll be like, how you feeling this morning? And she'll have her time where she can process that and then give the journal back to me. And then she could start her day. That was her environmental wellness. Let me get it out first, then I can start my day.
Yeah. Good job. Good job seeing the uniqueness in your students and not approaching every situation the same. That's important.
Yes.
That's important. Yes. So we're about to go into our wisdom in action. And the last thing I want to say before we do that is that I think what we've hit on as the most important thing, and not that we always have to pick a most important thing because we say a lot of good stuff, right? Is if you're going to infuse your environment with wellness, you have to know what you need, right? You have to know what does wellness mean to you in that environment, or how do you know if you set it up right? So honoring ourselves and what we need, I think is why when we talk about self-care, not being selfish and making sure that we prioritize ourselves, that's why it's necessary, because we can't even accurately delegate or accurately ask for what we need if we don't know where we're coming from, what we have, and then what we're looking for that we feel like we kind of need to be poured into or added.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so for your wisdom in action this week, for environmental wellness, what are you working on?
Getting my space back to being environmental wellness for me. It's not environmental wellness yet.
So getting my space back.
Yes. Getting my space back. Hi.
I love it. Who said hi? Somebody? Let's see. Oh, hey, Ashley. Hey, Coe with the hearts.
Yes.
Look at that. I love it. Yes. Okay, so getting my space back. I love that. My hashtag for environmental wellness. Let's see what I'm working on. Oh, good stuff. Let's see. I think, I got a good one. Okay. Mine is preparing for freedom. I like that personally, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for time freedom, financial freedom. And I said freedom because this Sunday I'm going to the pre-Juneteenth event out at the Georgia Fairgrounds. So we're starting to celebrate Juneteenth. Of course, I'm thinking about when the slaves found out we were free, that they were free, not a slave, right? And
enslaved
working
person.
on, right. Thank you. That's what I was about to say, working on a different word for enslaved person. But when we talk about the 8 dimensions of wellness, I see ways that we could infuse more wellness into our lives, right, as women, and that we could be more free. And so that's why I love what I do. And so preparing for freedom in ways of preparing for the event, right, getting ready for Juneteenth, but also setting up these systems. I've been working with the SCAD class, and we just got finished. I'm super excited about this quiz that they have on the website now to see which product of Shalo Glow helps you with your dry skin, right? So if you take the quiz, it'll take you straight to the page after. And for me, that gets me excited as a business owner, because now as the systems are set up, the teams are being set up, looks like my time is getting ready to be a little freer. We'll plug some people in, right? Plug some automations in so that we could build the teams. And that is me one step closer to that financial freedom that I've been building for. So that's mine.
That sounds amazing. So
thank you.
Get my space back, and what is it towards freedom?
And preparing for freedom.
Preparing for freedom. I love that.
Yes. Thank you so much. Do you have any other points, any last words before we dip for episode 118?
Ooh, love it. Episode 118. Congratulations on that. You guys are
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Christine
Yes.
and Miss Shannon, you guys are doing some amazing things on this podcast and just
Thank you.
putting out some really good information that
Yeah.
people can take and apply to their life as necessary and as needed. And for me, in this environmental journey, my goal is to get to the place of where I see myself in a joyous way as
Okay.
often as possible. We're not going to always be happy. We're not
Right.
going to always be sad, but I want to have that internal joy that surpasses all my understanding, like the peace. I want to
Yes.
be able to have that in every aspect of my life. And that's going to push me towards freedom, right?
Yes.
Push me towards the freedom that I need, because my goal is to stop feeling caged. I often talk about that. I feel caged in corporate. I feel caged in having to be so politically correct all the time, to be in a political environment where I can't express myself in the way that I want to. So my goal is to get into an environment where I feel free, and that is going to require me to make some changes to my space.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. And I definitely support you in that. And I know it's scary. It can be daunting when things are the first time. And a lot of times it's overwhelming to learn something for the first time and then do it, you know, in addition to everything else that we have going on. So it makes sense how you're feeling. And I love what you said, joy that surpasses understanding. I'm
Yes.
for it.
Yes. Just be like, what you smiling for? What's that internal brightness? Now that you guys are able to connect with me, and that, you know, people are starting to feel the spirit of being of a peace around me, it's starting to be more and more relevant. So I love that.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's always exciting. Yeah, I know peace of mind was something I was looking for a long time. So definitely helps with the environmental wellness. Well, okay, ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, for episode 118, we will be back next week live at 5 for the recap and the wrap up of season 13. So 13 seasons. Thank you so much for being part of my environmental wellness, Coach Coe. I appreciate you.
You got it, guys. And make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Life Coach Coe, COE. And also you can sign up with my link tree that has all the avenues of talk sessions with Coe on Apple and Spotify, Monday motivations, the little email you never knew you needed for all Black women out there, and just continue to rock with me in all other avenues.
Yes, and I definitely get the Monday motivation, and I love it. I'm like, yep, it's Monday. I'm reading it in the morning as I'm getting ready. I always appreciate it. It's always right on time.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you, Shannon.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies, we'll see you soon. In the meantime, don't forget,
be well,
be wise,
and be whole.
Peace.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. On air live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern via Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of the conversation and get connected at womenconnectedinwisdom.com.